Honorable Pernell Charles Jr., Minister of Labor and Social Security, Minister of State in the Ministry at the MLSS, Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Jennings, special invited guests from Food for the Poor, our partners, the Jamaica Defense Force, the Jamaica Red Cross, the PSOJ, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen in the room, and those of you joining us online and across the airwaves. Welcome to the Ministry of Labor and Social Security Disaster Response Press Conference. I'm Paula Ann Porter-Jones, and we'd like to thank you for joining us as we work through what has been happening and what will be happening with respect to the ministry. Over the past several days, as you know, families across Jamaica have faced immense difficulties following Hurricane Melissa. So the ministry has been working around the clock to provide immediate relief, especially to the elderly, persons with disabilities, single parents, and low-income households. Now, as the People's Ministry, our responsibility is clear. The goal is that no one will be left behind. Every household that needs support must be reached. Every vulnerable person must be accounted for. So we're working in close coordination with the relevant national agencies so that the right support reaches the right people at the right times. Our approach is structured, transparent, and it's designed to ensure fairness across all the affected parishes. At the center of this response is the dignity of every Jamaican navigating this period. So this morning's briefing will outline where the work stands, what continues today, and how the ministry is supporting the people who need that help most right now. Before we begin the update, I want to note that Minister Charles has actually been active on the ground from the moment it was safe to move. He's visited the affected areas, he's assessed the damage in some of those areas directly, and he's worked with parish teams and partner agencies to ensure that immediate relief has been delivered where it was needed. So his leadership has been a practical, visible one. It's been focused on results, on strengthening the ministry's mandate as the people's ministry, committed to leaving no one behind. So, at this time, please help me to welcome the Honorable Minister of Labor and Social Security, Honorable Pernell Charles Jr., to the lectern.
Thank you so much, Paula. Good morning to everyone. Acknowledgements, of course, to Minister Williams, Permanent Secretary, all of our partners from the JDF, the private sector, the World Food Program, Food for the Poor, the Red Cross, the Salvation Army, and everybody who is here, particularly the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, and the media. Now, our Prime Minister, and I hope that everyone heard him yesterday, give a very extensive and comprehensive report on most of the relevant matters relating to our recovery and relief post-Hurricane Melissa. And today, we want to thank everyone who has been involved in this process, ADPEM, OPM, all across government, all of the citizens who have jumped in, community members, church members, everyone, because this is the time when the entire country must come together. We hear of it, but this is it in actuality. So today we want to provide a clear update on where the Ministry of Labor and Social Security is in terms of the work that we are doing, collaborating across government, ministries, departments, agencies, and the private sector to advance the national humanitarian response for the families across the island. And I want to start by recognizing that if we are to effectively work and to achieve the collective goals, we must have sufficient boots on the ground. I think we can all agree that that is important. As such, we have to recognize that in our own ministry, we have more than 100 of our team members that have been significantly impacted by this hurricane. At least 8 that have lost everything. When I say everything, I mean the entire house and its contents. And what's remarkable is in my own visit to St. James, to Westmoreland, they were still working for this country, serving the people, despite their own circumstances. The team members among that more than 100 are primarily those who are called upon as first responders. And so we can agree that the work required to serve this nation and to serve the most vulnerable citizens requires us also to take care of the team members who have been affected. To this end, the ministry has established an oversight committee to coordinate all of the staff welfare activities and to ensure that our interventions are transparent, fair, responsive to the individual needs, and I'm certain that the entire country will agree that that is critical. For some time, I must tell you, it was difficult for all of us because we weren't even able to reach some of the staff members. We went into the neighborhoods where we knew they resided, they weren't there. Tried them on the phone. Dr. Hendricks, you can't get them. But I can report that all of our staff members who were previously unaccounted for have now been located, they've been identified, and we have advanced the necessary relief to many of them, as I said, who some have to be living out of even one I think was even in a shelter. So these employees will be targeted in terms of the assistance to ensure that they can get up and running to do the work of the ministry. Now we recognize also that it is not just the physical damage, but there is a significant emotional, psychological, mental toll that this hurricane has caused, impacted on our people and on our staff, even those who have not been impacted by the hurricane physically. And so the ministry will be making available to our staff counseling services, particularly to those who have experienced, as I said, trauma or loss. And we've also introduced or will be introducing more extended flexible work arrangements to help the affected employees return to work gradually based on their circumstances and to give support to their involvement in community recovery efforts. I also want to note at this time, I know that there are several other ministries, departments, and agencies affected similarly. And it is important that if you fall in that category, you understand that you too are seen as high priority for the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. We are awaiting those lists, and once we receive those lists, we will similarly have that placed in the priority category. We need all of our government service up and running to serve the nation. Now, to move to the national relief distribution. As chair of the Humanitarian Assistance Committee, the ministry continues to advance Jamaica's national relief and recovery coordination. Let me give you some updated statistics. As at November 19th, in partnership with JDF and other stakeholders, we have conducted 138 air and ground drops to communities, or at least that number, that were inaccessible due to the flooding and the infrastructure damage. The ministry has dispatched close to 60,000 food packages, 59,320 at last count, more than 24 hours ago, and that information is still coming in. Mainly in the parishes, Westmoreland, St. James, St. Elizabeth, Trelawney, Hanover, St. Anne, that are most greatly affected, Manchester as well. I want to note that this figure does not account for the entirety of all packages that have been dispatched. And we have thousands more of packages that have been delivered, but perhaps not within the remit of our strict account in terms of the formalities. And let me also indicate that when we do our airdrops, the packages, for instance, that come from World Food Program are usually packages that account for feeding of a family of 3 for 1 week. And similarly, so we have moved from the urgency of just getting food to the people and now to a much more synchronized strategic approach that will see us having a schedule based on demand, based on the scheduling reporting, based on assessments on the ground, based on collaboration with our partners that will allow for us to be much more calculated. So you will see the figures fluctuating. Don't be despaired. That's based on what information we're receiving on the ground, and we're ensuring that where there is need, we can move swiftly to attend to that need. As it relates to the composition of food packages, and I raise this also, Paula, because this is something that I heard on the radio. And let me say, we understand that many Jamaicans who are not completely informed will draw assumptions. Sometimes those assumptions are not correct. But I understand why. I think the entire country wants everything to be done right now. And that's the way we feel as well. But let me bring some accuracy to the composition of the food packages. The food packages are containing protein sources, including canned meat, fish, and beans, as well as powdered milk. They also contain canned vegetables, staples such as rice, flour, cornmeal, and crackers, as well as essential condiments such as oil and sugar. Beyond food, we continue to provide hygiene kits, tarpaulins, blankets, mattresses, bottled water, solar lanterns, cleaning agents, tabletop stoves, all guided, as I said previously, by the needs identified in our field assessments. And let me give you an example. You may be in one area where a neighboring community, Minister Williams, requires food packages. But the other community, based on their circumstances, is not marooned by the increase in flooding, but needs cleaning agents, as in Catherine Hall, where their significant issue is that of all the areas in the country, what happened to them was just this influx of a mixture of mud and water that went into the homes, covered some of the vehicles. And so their primary issue now is water and cleaning agents, which is why the Prime Minister, guided by that data, has defined a particular effort that has been advanced to help that area. Before I move to household damage assessments, I also want to recognize the significant support from members of the private sector who have been assisting, have embedded themselves into all of our processes, from procurement to production to distribution, and who have been doing on their own as well. I want to say a big thank you to you. Your constructive support and criticism and challenging is exactly what we as a country need to work together to make sure that we get it right. The Prime Minister has also mandated that across government we use all of our field officers and assets to benefit the strategy and the effectiveness and efficiency of distributing. So our ministers of state, I'd like to say led by my Minister of State, who has been out there, have been out there supporting us and supporting the government and supporting our national effort. I think he was in Hanover yesterday, and I think he has been to also about 3 other parishes on the ground. As a matter of fact, that's where he was going today when we dragged him back to come and be here. He doesn't want to be in office. He's boots on the ground now. But I want to acknowledge them because, again, this is the time when across government we have to pool all of our resources towards this collective and singular goal, restoring Jamaica. Moving to the household damage assessments, I want to first indicate that the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, we lead a multi-sectoral assessment, and you can see it on the screen, several of the elements of that group. And those teams comprise state and non-governmental organizations. The household damage assessment, it seeks to ascertain the level of damage done, including the vulnerability and needs of the families, the loss of productive assets, the loss of household assets, and also the damage to the housing structure. But of course, the most important is the individuals that we are evaluating. Our teams conduct door-to-door household assessments, so it does take time. And that is why we are expanding the team and training persons. CTD Dare Williams has been training every day. I think we trained yesterday, and we're training today, and we're training tomorrow, and we continue to train because our effort is to expand the boots on the ground so that we can get as many assessments done as possible. We learned a lot of lessons in burial, and we were on the ground trying our best to utilize the tools that we had. Not saying that they were perfect, but in that imperfection, it has allowed us to revise our posture, and we have improved. And so with the work done over the last year in partnership, particularly with World Food Program, our director, Suzette Morris, who is our representative on the Humanitarian Assistance Committee, has been tirelessly working to make sure that we have a new, improved JH Diner tool. And when I heard that word, JH Diner, well, the phrase, I wondered, what? So let me break it down for you. Jamaica Household Damage, Impact, and Needs Assessment Tool. I think that was named by Nackley from Food for the Poor. Only he is so complicated. His mind is that complicated. It seems to be from Nackley. But it's an important tool, and it is a nationally recognized post-disaster needs assessment that is utilized by more than just the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. We have all of our humanitarian assistance partners that receive it, using it, so that we have one collective capturing of data that is cohesive. It captures information, as I said, on the damage to housing structures, impact on the household members, as I said before, the productive assets, immediate needs for relief and recovery. And the information collated from this instrument is very important. It is that data that is collected by the JH Diner tool that is then used to determine what support we give to you. So when we go into your community and walk on your lane, P.S. Jennings, and you're not at home, and your neighbor is at home, and your neighbor is assessed, but you're not assessed, your neighbor can be advanced. So what we're doing, based on the knowledge that we've gained from Beryl, in using this tool, is we also note as we go through the persons who are not there, and we are defining also, or developing also, or have developed rather, a self-reporting mechanism to complement what we do on the ground in terms of using the JH Diner tool, so that those persons who we have missed, or those persons who were missing, we can find them or give you a platform to let us know that you too have been impacted. Now, this is an upgrade from our previous manual process. And what are the benefits of this upgraded, modernized approach? This approach allows for us to have significantly greater efficiency and accuracy in the collection process. It's not only faster because as you use the tablet or the phone with the application, it's immediately uploaded, and so it eliminates the need for that data re-entry. But it also eliminates the mistakes that come with having to move data from one place to the next. We are human beings. The tool is versatile, and it allows us now, Ms. Shepherd, to go out and to capture images. So when I previously would go and say to you in my subjective mind that there is massive destruction, and then you see the picture and it is a door that is missing, that now can be reconciled because the tool allows us to capture images and retain also GPS coordinates of the relevant locations. So as our logistics champions, JDF, always say, we need to make sure that we have the logistics intact. So we're doing that with this tool. We're not only capturing the data, we're capturing where we are, what's the location, and we have the images to know exactly what happened. In spite of all of the anticipated challenges that we certainly know will be presented by the magnitude of this disaster, which I have been advised, Dana, based on what I saw on TikTok this morning. And if it's on TikTok, it must be real, right? That's not true, kids. Just in case you just to be, have to remember I'm live. I'm hearing that the magnitude of the wind with Hurricane Melissa is the most intense recorded hurricane wind since the history of any hurricanes being recorded on Earth. So understand that what we are seeking to do as a collective, as a team, is unprecedented. And so far, despite all the challenges, as at November 19th, our team has completed more than 17,000 household damage assessments. And as we speak, we are right now doing more assessments. We have the expanded team, including staff and volunteers, targeting the assessments in order of priority. As I said, priority 1 is to assess the occupants of shelters across the country. 2 is to move to any unofficial shelters, because there are spaces such as churches and other homes where persons accommodated others. 3 is to move to the highly affected areas, particularly where you have significant amount of totally destroyed homes, and then on and on down the line, including our self-reporting. And that tool for self-reporting is first of its kind here in Jamaica. It's a web-based self-reporting tool that will be deployed through our website, mlss.gov.jm. We have been also proactive in addressing our connectivity issues. And if you have been out on the ground, for instance, I was out in St. Anne yesterday, and I would say to you, a wide mass of St. Anne has connectivity issues and electrification issues, and they're working on it. But because we anticipate those issues, through Starlink, we have acquired a number of devices that have been installed across all of our parish offices with the help of some of our stakeholders as well. And this has significantly improved Wi-Fi connectivity and the delivery of service. Of course, similar to what you'll find at many police stations now, where there's also Starlink, people will gather and we try to assist the community as much as we can. As at November 19th, also 96% of the completed assessments have already been entered into our JH Dana platform. And so far they indicate 47,000 persons have been affected. Let me move quickly now to the team. The targeted support for our vulnerable groups. As you know, this is a people's ministry. We focus on our senior citizens, persons with disabilities, our beneficiaries for PATH and others. And so I just want it to be stated clearly that as we do our assessments, as we do the distribution, as we do any of our engagements, we certainly have as a high priority those vulnerable groups. The JCPD, Dr. Hendricks is here, together with key partners such as the Jamaica Society for the Blind, Jamaica Association for the Deaf, and the Combined Disabilities Association, Abilities Foundation, and others, have been on the ground conducting home visits, assessing needs, and delivering care packages to persons with disabilities and their caregivers as well. We want to assure the community of persons with disabilities that you remain a priority. And also your caregivers. Because many times, and I've learned that many times the caregivers are not brought into the conversation, but we highlight them and we want them to understand that they can contact the JCPD. There is a WhatsApp number. Let me give you 876-447-0444. That's 0444 or 876-299-7393. Or you can reach out to any of our social workers at our parish offices or through the JCPD. For senior citizens, quickly, the National Council for Senior Citizens has mobilized a network of over 180 volunteers to ensure that our seniors are not left behind in this recovery process. The Council has been similarly delivering packages, assisting with transportation, helping for medication pickups, helping in terms of home cleanup services, and to date we have had 29 mobility aids and assistive devices that have been distributed to seniors in need, and many more that have received support. This work is guided by the national policy that we have for senior citizens, which emphasizes dignity, inclusion, and protection, especially in times of crisis. Now, for seniors or your caregivers in need, you can get help through the NCSC directly, and this is the number for you, 876-676-5721-2. That's 876-676-5721-2. Now, I'm winding down because we want to give an opportunity to others to be heard. But I do want to, before I move to the immediate priorities and the next steps, I want to make very clear that there is a policy from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security as it relates engagement in these communities. And that policy demands that we work with, consult with, coordinate with the stakeholders, including members of Parliament. And I say this again in response to issues raised and concerns. Is that Britney Spears? I like it too. I haven't heard of her well. But that policy is very important in terms of the direction and the directive, not only to our staff, but to our partners. Let me tell you what it means. It means that as of now, and as it has been directed, we are streamlining the collective efforts to ensure that we mitigate and eliminate duplication and we advance and increase efficiency. So our parish managers will be consulting with members of Parliament. We'll be providing the schedule of the visits on a weekly and daily, if needed, basis, providing the list of persons that have been supported in whatever various way, and the assessments that have been done. And we would ask also that the constituency leaders, the MPs, also similarly provide information to us. Because as we share with you, so that you can know where to deploy your resources coming from government. And I say that because as we utilize the government's resources through budget to provide support in producing packages, members of parliament have also received government allocation to do similar things. And so as we're doing similar things, we must synergize. It must be synchronized. So if members of parliament are, through their private efforts, going to raise other funds, other support to come into a community, we ask that you let us know as well. Of course, we can't mandate it, but it will help in the cooperation and the coordination, so we don't go into a community that you have already supplied with packages or given support. So we're going to balance, we're going to collaborate, we're going to work together to make sure that we achieve that collective goal of restoring Jamaica. Immediate priorities for us in the next 72 hours: 4. 1, sustain daily dispatches of relief supplies and replenish our parish stocks. And of course, we work with our JDF, particularly in that mission. We want to maintain to the support with JDF in terms of the missions, particularly to isolated areas or areas that are hard to reach, such as where I went yesterday, PS, with Minister Main, in one of his areas called Norwood, where there is, again, a significant large water body that has cut off an entire community. 3, we continue to prioritize support for seniors, persons with disabilities, pregnant women, infants, and other groups of focus for us here at the ministry. And 4, we are going to rapidly advance the completion of household assessments, particularly, as I said, in that order of priority, from shelters to hardest hit communities, with a strong focus now on expanding our team, on training persons, and on getting on the ground daily. Now, the next steps, as we stabilize the affected communities, the ministry will begin the transition from emergency relief to recovery. And I think the Prime Minister has gone far in explaining the move now from, I don't want to say sporadic, but from emergency to structure and strategy and system. And that's very important. And this is going to include us ensuring that we identify the persons who have suffered and that we design the structure for income assistance and restoration of livelihoods in partnership with the key public and private sector organizations and international development partners. We're going to make sure that we have a detailed schedule, not just shared with the MPs, but shared with the public once it is finalized. For those unable to attend in person, as I said, we will have that self-reporting option available. It's complete based on what I'm hearing from Ms. Morris, right? Yes, and so it's just in need of the gavel to be hit for it to move forward. In closing, I want to emphasize all assistance will be based on a verified need, and that all official information on relief and recovery efforts will be released only through authorized government channels. Why do I say that? Because one of the challenges that come with the benefit of social media and internet and artificial intelligence is that you still have individuals who manipulate the good tools in a bad way. I have seen myself integrated into so many videos now with voices that sound more like me than I sound right now, that it is scary. From farm work videos to now relief and recovery videos to WhatsApp messages about grants going out from the Ministry of Labor. We want to warn the public again to only receive information from unauthorized channels, or you will pull and put yourself into into issues that we want you to be guarded from. So our website is mlss.gov.jm. Our verified social media pages are there. I think it's MLSSJA. You know my page, Minister Williams' page, the Prime Minister's page, other ministers. That's where you can get the information, JDF and such. And anyone who needs help should contact your parish office. You call it the PART office, you call it the NIS office. Go to your parish office and contact them. If you can't get there, call them 922-8000-13. Provide your location, the household details, and the nature of the need, and our teams will respond quickly. Finally, I want to just sincerely thank all who have been working hard. I, about 3 days ago, pulled together a quick task force, including a number of Jamaicans who have many things to do. Ali Matalan, Brittany Singh, Ella Gartney, Erica Mackenzie, Winston Baglow, and others who have come together just to give some additional support to the several other working groups that we have. And I want to say thank you to them. I want to also thank my staff. I know that Director Anderson Thomas might as well now be called a member of the JDF with Major Trowers, because they've been working, I'd say, all day, just making sure that the coordination is there in terms of securing safely the goods that we receive and the goods to go out. Several others who are here working at the ministry, Shepherd, many of us who are doing the work every day. Our volunteers, our partners, we all remain fully committed to timely, transparent, and compassionate service. I end there because I want you to appreciate the impact on the many people we serve. Sometimes they just want or need a listening ear. Sometimes they need someone to offload on. And as we go out there, it's not about you. So get out, give that support, and that passion must be wrapped up in compassion for us to make sure that our service, as we work together to recover and rebuild, is one that has a positive impact. Thanks again. One love.
Thank you, Minister. That summary, ladies and gentlemen, captures not just the urgency of the work and the scale of the needs that are being addressed, but also reinforces that the ministry continues to prioritize the elderly, persons with disabilities, single parents, low-income households as the relief operation moves forward. Now, the approach to this relief effort requires multiple partners working in step, and we are grateful for the technical and operational support that has been provided by our national agencies, and we also acknowledge assistance from international partners. These partners have been contributing to the coordination and the assessment work in particular, and at this time we'd like to invite them to provide us with brief updates. We will start with the gentleman representing Food for the Poor, and I will introduce his surname and ask him to introduce his first name. Mr. Haddo, could you come forward, please?
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Nakhle. Nakhle. Yes. Nakhle. N-A-H-K-L-E. N-A-K-H-L-E. But you pronounced it very well, because the real pronunciation is Nakhle. Yes. Thank you for having me here, Minister. All protocol observed, partners, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. We still have 2 minutes. I'm going to briefly, since I think I have 3 minutes, and I know I don't want to. I want to provide first an introduction. I want to thank the government first of course, and our donors for us to be able to engage. Our partnership and our response here as Food for the Poor is not just a Food for the Poor initiative, right? It is Jamaica initiative, and we are committed towards that. As a key partner of the Humanitarian Assistance Committee and part of the response team, it's very important that we continue to work all together, regardless of the extent of what is happening. This is very challenging to all of us. And you heard the minister, you heard everyone. It's very challenging there. And I'm very happy, Minister, that today you actually broke down what those persons are going through and what staff and responders also are going through, whether became victim or homeless, right? That said, we have to always think about what if tomorrow you leave your house and you're not able to communicate to anyone? Forget about no water, forget about no light, but you're not able to communicate. As an operation, as a person going to work, how can you touch base with anyone except going to find that person? That's how labor intensive it was at the first 7, 8, 9 days up to now in certain areas. So we need to appreciate the challenges that we have, and we need to appreciate also the support that we have to get from everyone here. Just to give you a synopsis of what Food for the Poor have to do, for those who doesn't know, Food for the Poor is a charity organization with part of the Disaster Act. So far, Food for the Poor have actually deployed 24,000 food kits. This is supplemented with care kits, tarpaulins, flashlight, water boots, everything that a household is needed, everything. So we support not only the humanitarian assistance partners, we don't do the response ourselves, but also donors and persons that come. We facilitated World Central Kitchen to be here, timely, to be able to provide over 1 million meals, right, across Jamaica. That was critical for us. We facilitated shelter box that we already now trying to also put in alternative shelter. We know that the reconstruction would be widespread, right? This is a mass construction, mass destruction, mass response. So we know we have to find alternative. The simple normal tarpaulin cannot just be helpful for roofs. It's helpful, but is not as adequate as thick tarpaulin. So far we are at 84, and we just started. It requires a lot of assessment, and I want us to make sure that I am informed. We coordinate, we assess, we justify what we do, right? We do drop-offs with basically the U.S. Chinooks and the Medicorp and the JDF. We support in the kitchen, we support in the warehouses. We're trying to just assist wherever it is. I have to thank our donors. Without our donors and our local partners here, we will not be here. And you can depend on Food for the Poor to provide the support, but we want to make sure that we are all coordinated. Part of also, we facilitated water mission to be here to ensure that we provide in actually water points. So far in critical area, there has been erected water points where people can get potable water. We are also providing purification system that actually purify the water and speak and train them about how to collect water from water harvesting because they don't have access to water. Luckily, we get in water. Of course, the hygiene and all that's also is something that has been provided. We have the opportunity to erect about 2,000 shelter box shelters. And I'm speaking here, this is an invitation to the humanitarian players to actually for us to work together to see how we can deploy that quick, because everyday people are basically roofless, right? So we want to move from the recovery, right? From the response into recovery swiftly, but we cannot deny that relief is still required, especially in certain areas and targeted. And this is the function of what we do. We're trying to figure out where are the areas that we can start, open up the markets and all of that. So we're working with the private sector and everyone on that. And I want to say something. Our role here as a HAC does not start when a hurricane happens. We have been mitigating. You heard Minister speaking about Hurricane Beryl, lessons learned, right? Now we need to swiftly apply all those lessons learned, and we need to learn again from lesson, mitigate, prepare, so we can respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Nachle Haddo. We now move to our friends from the Jamaica Defense Force, and Colonel Anthony Gregory will be speaking. Let's welcome him, please.
Thank you very much, Paula. Minister, Permanent Secretary, special invited guests, members of the press, good morning. We would have heard the minister spoke about the relationship between the Ministry of Labor and Social Security and the Jamaica Defense Force. And it's not my intent to rehash the numbers because we have been working closely together. But my intent today is to give you a broad overview of what we have been doing, how we have been working, and to give you also an overview of how do we get the relief to the Jamaican citizen. Today is not just to share information, but also to celebrate the unity and resilience that defines our nation. The Ministry of Labor and Social Security and the Jamaican Defense Force have been working together to develop and design humanitarian support for the people of Jamaica. This started well before the hurricane. As a matter of fact, we started to plan and pre-position items well before the hurricane. Just after the hurricane, we jump into action. This is with a warehouse of approximately 90,000 square feet in Upper Camp. We have subsequently increased the size and capacity of that warehouse by approximately 3,500 square feet, and this is through the donation of sea containers from the Seabed Authority through Kingston Wharves. And from that warehouse, we have been producing those packages that you heard the minister spoke about. He gave you the numbers, and we have been working tirelessly to produce these packages. The warehouse is manned by members of the Jamaica Defense Force, members from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, and also volunteers. We have the capacity to scale up, and we have been constantly scaling up, and we have the capacity to produce up to about 10,000. And we are continually working on that. The primary focus of the warehouse started in producing care packages, food packages, but we have pivoted and we not only produce care packages, we're also producing humanitarian supplies, so non-food items is also coming from this warehouse. And these non-food items, including the tarpaulins, hygiene kit, a number of the items that the minister spoke about earlier. Now that we have built out our logistic chain, and what do I mean by that? The hub and spoke chain that you would have heard members from ODPEM spoke about, now that that has built out and we have parish hubs in most of the affected parishes, what we're seeing now is items from a lot less food drops, but items from the warehouse are now moving via road, since that the roads are now open, to the hubs, store at the hubs, and then from the hubs, they can move to community distribution point or humanitarian support area where they are distributed. So that is a broad look at what the logistic chain is like. At the community distribution point, the JDF works again with MLSS to ensure that we are protecting the vulnerable, minister, to ensure that we are reaching the elderly, to ensure that families with young children are prioritized. So that relationship starts at the warehouse, but it continues to that last mile to ensure that we are reaching everyone. I recognize our international partners. I recognize our partners that have worked with us, and we continue to thank you. And what it shows is that the global solidarity in this crisis goes beyond borders. It shows a compassion of our partners that works with us. And we are deeply grateful for your contribution. We're deeply grateful for the contribution of everybody. In closing, I would like to say the coordinated efforts between the Ministry of Labor and Social Security and the JDF, united in this time of crisis, we're all committed in leaving no one behind. On behalf of the Chief of Defense Staff, let me extend a heartfelt gratitude to the members of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security for your work, to all the men and women of the Jamaica Defense Force as we face and just I would like to reiterate that as Jamaica face adversity, we stand united and we stand strong and resilient and ready to rise again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel Gregory. Our next speaker represents the Jamaica Red Cross. I'm told the committee chair is here. I'm going to ask her to introduce herself, her name. Welcome her nevertheless, please.
Thank you, Paula. So my name is Esther Pinnock, and I'm the communications chair for the Jamaica Red Cross. It is my pleasure to greet you, Honorable Minister Charles, Minister of State and Permanent Secretary. And thank you for all being here to learn more about how we are coordinating in this unprecedented response to an unprecedented challenge. Right, so as co-chair of the Humanitarian Assistance Committee, the Jamaica Red Cross has been working with the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, as well as other ministries, departments, and agencies of government, and other humanitarian actors, local and international. So far, with the help we have been receiving, we have been able to reach over 3,500 households with food and non-food items. And these are, of course, in the worst affected parishes, including pockets of communities in St. Mary, Portland, St. Anne, Trelawney, and St. Thomas. We have also been able to deliver 60 mattresses to shelterees at the Petersfield High School. And we were there over the weekend, and there we were able to not only deliver these relief items, but also intervene in the area of mental health and psychosocial support. This aspect we have tied into our response because we deem it very essential. And what has been happening is that as our teams go out to deliver relief items to different parishes, they have been accompanied by members of our mental health and psychosocial support unit. So there is that direct person-to-person interaction, as well as we have been intervening at the shelters also. So on Saturday last, we had 2 sessions in Petersfield High School, and also one at the Maud Road High School shelter. And this we will continue to build out as a part of our response, because it is critical that we attend to, what we have experienced, whether we are in the western side or the eastern side of the island, we recognize that there's a lot of trauma, and our team, which is trained at the highest level, they are intervening to help Jamaica deal with the challenges that accompany the major losses that have been experienced. We are also pleased to inform you that we are collaborating with the Ministry of Health and Wellness on 2 key projects. And these are, so the first one is at the Petersfield and Darlington shelter. We are helping them to fully reopen, and we successfully conducted a cleanup there on Saturday. And things are in motion now to get them fully running. The total cost to us, the Jamaica Red Cross, was $700,000. We were able to have 50 volunteers working at both shelters for that project. And through the IFRC, support and the Canadian Red Cross, the other projects that is coming on board, we will be providing support to the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the disaster risk, let me repeat that, Health and Wellness and the Disaster Recovery Plan for primary care services through the provision of mobile health services. So we will be deploying mobile health clinics at 2 locations, and these are Petersfield and Betheltown in Westmoreland. And we expect that this will be rolled out. Plans are advanced, and we expect to see this coming on stream in the coming week. On the matter of water, sanitation, and health, we have commenced the setup of water filtration systems at 7 Rivers in Cambridge, St. James. And by Saturday, persons in that community will have access to purified water. And this is through the help of the French Red Cross. We acknowledge that this is something we can't do on our own, and of course, interacting with the ministries and our international body, that's the IFRC. To date, we have received some 176 tons of non-food items, and these include cleaning kits, hygiene kits, shelter repair kits, tarpaulins, and as it relates to tarpaulins, we have been able to distribute to date some 1,400 of these to individuals. Thank you. As we look now to go beyond the relief phase of our response, we are carving out, the long-term plan. And with the help of the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, who have launched an appeal on our behalf. And the value of this appeal is $23 million US. We are expecting to impact some 180,000 families over the course of 24 months, right? So among the things we plan to do, and this will be rolled out in the medium term, would be a cash voucher assistance program. So we are encouraging persons who are in need of such assistance to download our new app that we're engaging through, and this is called the Access RC app. And this can be accessed at Google Play. And this app will enable you to get relief information, preparedness information, and when it's time to apply for benefits, you'll be able to access it through the app. So we encourage everybody, tell somebody about it, download it. This is a part of the mechanism to ensure that we remain prepared and we can access the assistance that we need when the time comes. We also want to be expanding our impact, and so we're encouraging and inviting persons to continue to volunteer. The Jamaica Red Cross is a voluntary organization, and we started this response with some 400 volunteers ready to go, to hit the ground. And as the requirements become more intense, we definitely want more hands on deck. There have been organizations who have been working with us, such as the Forestry Department, among others, and we encourage this approach to helping us to make the impact where it's needed. If you want to reach the Red Cross, I invite you to engage with us on social media at Jamaica Red Cross Official, and you may also call us at 876-665-6891. I thank you for your audience, and I wish you all a good afternoon.
Let me make sure I got it right, Madame Esther Pinnock. Access RC, that's the app. All right, Jamaica Red Cross Official on the socials. We have it. It's interesting that we are seeing improvements in technology coming out of what has been such a tragic time. So there's always a little spark somewhere, depending on how we look at it. And we'd love to see how the PSOJ looks at it. So we are inviting at this time Catherine Silvera, to represent the Public Sector Organization of Jamaica. She's president of the JMEA. Let's welcome her, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. All protocols observed. Representing the private sector, we wish to begin by thanking the Ministry of Labour and Social Security for your partnership and for welcoming our inclusion in Jamaica's national disaster response to Hurricane Melissa. We recognize the immense strain placed on all public agencies during a crisis of this magnitude, and we're grateful for the opportunity to work side by side in service of the Jamaican people. In the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, and the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce came together as one unified private sector coalition to support Jamaica's national disaster response. Our partnership is built on the recognition that national recovery requires national unity across industries, sectors, and communities. To ensure a structured and coordinated approach, we have established a private sector emergency operations center, which is a central mechanism to unify and manage all private sector response and recovery efforts. The private sector EOC's mandate is to rapidly assess, prioritize, and drive private sector-led initiatives focused on livelihoods, essential services, business continuity, and economic resilience. We provide data daily to the National EOC through our designated liaison officer, Senator Keith Duncan, ensuring that all private sector actions align with national strategy, respect legal mandates, and complement the government's overall relief effort. The private sector EOC consolidates ground-level data from across affected communities, including business impacts, road access, supply shortages, labor challenges, and critical needs. This enables precise targeting of interventions where the need is greatest. We receive daily reports from the tourism and hospitality sector, fast-moving consumer good companies, agriculture, business process outsourcing companies, building supplies and construction firms, and the banking and remittance sector. These insights ensure that our response are data-driven and responsive, particularly in parishes and communities most affected. Our EOC also relays information to and from the Government of Jamaica and the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, ensuring full integration into regional and global support mechanisms. And one of these ways is we're working with the Ministry of Labour and Social Security with the JH Dynaform, because not only are you assessing the homes in a lot of these rural communities, that's also their source of income, whether it be that they have a cook shop, a small shop, a hairdresser, a barber, a nail salon. All of those are ways to get commerce and the economy back up and moving, not just the household needs as well. Beyond coordination, the JMEA, PSOJ, and JCC combined our networks, our expertise, our resources, and our memberships to help fund donations through the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. I want to primarily highlight Grace Kennedy, who did a $20 million donation, Quality Incorporated, who did a $10 million donation of paper products, and there have been many, many others. We've been working very closely with the Ministry of Labour and Social Security team. Some of our executive directors and our secretariat have been stationed at the MLSS warehouse along with the team of JDF, and we're really committed to working together to ensure that the procurement process, the donation process comes through smoothly so that we're getting those relief and recovery efforts to the communities that need it the most. We know that, after the relief distribution, or while that is still important, we must also help to restore livelihoods, get businesses operating again, and support communities so that they can fully participate in the economic recovery. We know that we have a long road ahead, but the private sector is committed for the long haul. We will continue to stand with the Ministry of Labour and Social Securities along with other government ministries and the people of Jamaica until our communities are stabilized, businesses are restored, and families are back on their feet. And we know that together we will build a stronger, more resilient, and more united Jamaica than ever before. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madame Silvera. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've heard from the Jamaica Defense Force, Food for the Poor Jamaica, Jamaica Red Cross, Public Sector Organization of Jamaica, and now it's time to hear from our global partner. They've been here from the start, very visibly and integrally working with us through the process. Help me welcome, representing the World Food Programme, Brian Bogart.
Good morning, and thank you, everyone. I wanted to acknowledge Minister Charles, the Permanent Secretary and the State Minister. We really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today. And let me start also by expressing our solidarity with the people of Jamaica. I think we need no more motivation for the work that we do than what we see on the ground and the level of need and the urgency that is required to respond to meet the needs of the people of Jamaica at this time. I think the strength that we see in the people is also our inspiration, and we continue to strive to deliver together with our government partners, with the private sector, with Food for the Poor, who has been working with us from day one, trying to stand up distribution networks and really make sure that we are investing our capacities in national institutions so that when this emergency is over, Jamaica stands in a stronger place when it comes to disaster preparedness and response. I think I would just like to reference the fact that we are working hand in hand with the government of Jamaica. And when I say hand in hand, I literally mean hand in hand. We are on the ground together with the MLSS counterparts at parish level who are providing us with intelligence information on who is in need, where that need is, and how best to get to people, particularly those who are isolated in very rural areas and the hardest to reach. The Jamaican Defense Forces have been incredible, very adaptable, agile, and supportive to us as we try to reach those populations with last mile deliveries, and we're deeply grateful for all of the collaboration at all levels with the ministry and with the Jamaican Defense Forces. To this day, we have provided approximately 35,000 people with food assistance, and I must say that number is expected to increase to approximately 75,000 over the coming week. This is very critical and focused on those communities that are hardest hit by Hurricane Melissa in the parishes of St. Elizabeth, St. James, Westmoreland, and Trelawney. We will continue to provide this support over the coming weeks while also working very closely with the ministry at parish level to begin the transition to cash assistance. Right now, food is critical, and we're doing everything we can to coordinate the response in coordination with the ministry to make sure that we have coverage of all of the affected areas by the various partners who are involved in the response. At the same time, it's critical for us to begin laying the foundations through accelerated registration of the JH Dyna, and that's happening in collaboration with the private sector and other partners so that we're able to begin transferring cash to people over the coming weeks. And that will also help to stimulate market activity at the local level. It will reactivate supply chains between the national level and some of these communities that will be essential for creating jobs, supporting livelihoods, and getting people back on their feet. I would like to also acknowledge the incredible support and generosity of our donors. We are continuing to mobilize resources from the international community to support this response. We've really seen a true expression of multilateralism across this response from the heavy airlift helicopters provided by the US military, the ground support provided by the Canadian military, Dutch and French naval vessels with EU support that provided assistance and transported relief supplies from our SEDIMA WFP logistics hub in Barbados, as well as the UN Humanitarian Response Depot in Panama. I think this expression of solidarity between the countries of the world that have helped Jamaica to date and will continue to be with us through the response is remarkable and really an example of the importance of international solidarity in responding to crises like these. I would just like to perhaps conclude by saying that we also recognize that the path to recovery will be challenging. We'll be here working with you throughout that process. And we know that St. Elizabeth, for example, and other areas that were hard hit by the hurricane are also the breadbaskets of the country. And we hope that we'll be able to work with partners like Food for the Poor, also the Ministry of Agriculture and MLSS to begin reactivating some of those livelihood activities and getting food production up and running again so that the rest of the country also has access to fresh, healthy, and nutritious food. Thank you all very much. In conclusion, it has been an absolute pleasure also to work with all of the partners that we meet in civil society and in government, and even the people that we meet in communities who are incredibly supportive of every effort that is being made to respond to this crisis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bogart. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for you to do the talking. It's our Q&A section, and we're opening for questions first from the media representatives that are here. We'd love for you to state your name and your organization clearly and then ask the question. And the national media will be allowed to start first, and then we move on from there as it applies. Minister, you will assist by directing and redirecting as is appropriate any questions that may arise. Any hands, questions? Name and organization, please.
Good morning, everyone. Khaleesi Wright from Nationwide News. I have two questions. We are aware of the fact that many citizens have lost everything, including vital identification documents during the passage of Hurricane Melissa. What are some of the measures that has been implemented or will be implemented by the ministry to support these individuals who've lost essential documents, including IDs and TRNs? Also, earlier you spoke to you mentioned rather having training sessions for persons who are being sent on the ground to do assessments. What does this training entail, and what is the duration of this training?
All right. I can answer from being seated.
Is that okay with our camera crew?
Where rather me at the, all right.
At the lectern?
Case. I should leave the training question to C.T. Dare Williams to answer. You can answer that one. But in relation to the issue of documents, I want to thank you for that question, because it is a matter of great concern to many Jamaicans, and it is sometimes confusing. And I think we have to do a better way of simplifying and communicating it. So thank you for giving us the opportunity. Let me make it absolutely clear. No one will be turned away from receiving a benefit because of the lack of a document. That is a ministry policy. However, it is not difficult for us to appreciate that we want to have information on what we're doing, particularly as a ministry that is also under the rubric of having to provide accurate reports to the Auditor General and otherwise. But in this regard, and under this type of emergency, we do not require a document for you to receive, for instance, a food package, but we do give assistance to persons when going through the household damage assessments, if it is that you have lost your documents, because you can appreciate that we will need to know certain type of information in order to advance that assessment and advance to you receiving the benefit. So for the household damage assessments, the ministry usually needs particular data and information. And if it is that you are not in that position currently, we actually have within the ministry partnerships with the Birthright, is that the right way? Operation Birthright, to make sure that you can get support to get your birth certificate. We work in tandem with TAJ and others across the government to help you to get whatever the required documents are for you to be able to advance your personal situation. So again, thank you. I hope that clarifies it. CT Dare Williams, you want to tell us on the training? Yeah, but I want your face to come on it. Yes. Oh, also, just to say that as we expand our reach, we're going to have our fairs, FAIRS, not FEARS, just to be clear. Did I spell it right? I hope. That would be terrible. My son is in school challenge quiz. So at those fairs, it's another opportunity for persons who have lost documents or who never had documents to come. Remember, no one is left behind with this ministry. We bring you in, we give you the support, we give you the tools to get to where you need to be. Thank you. CTD.
Thank you, Minister. Good afternoon, everyone. So, to answer your question, you've heard about the JH Dyna form that we have been using in the field to collect data. So before we send persons out, we want to ensure that they're properly equipped to use the tool. So we do conduct trainings. The training lasts, it's not long, it's about an hour and a half, depending on the number of persons and the number of questions that they may have. But it is essential that before they go out into the field, they're familiar with the form. So that is the training that we referenced.
Thank you, and that's Madame Audrey Williams, Chief Technical Director. No, I didn't know it in my head before, but I leaned across and read her ID. Thank you, Calicia Wright from Nationwide, for your questions. Do we have others? We are joined online by quite a number of persons. At the start, I was told there were 765 viewers across the YouTube channels of JIS, the Public Broadcasting Company, PBC, and the ministry's YouTube channel as well. And we had viewers on Facebook, and we are still live, I believe, on Love 101 FM. Are there any questions coming from those sources that we are able to deal with at this time? Could you identify yourself, sir?
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Pastor Lewis from the East Jamaica Conference, and we have been very actively involved in the relief efforts. What I found, having gone into the field, is that there are areas where individuals have like tons of accumulated care packages and stuff. What I think, having listened to the minister, what I think is important and would like to know is when will that kind of schedule that you referenced earlier be out so that we don't have that heavy duplication. We have had to be going to some of the areas, off-roads areas, and target some of the maroon communities. But it would be good to know, the areas that have already been targeted, when they were touched, and so we can know that when we're going out, we can go to the ones that have not been impacted.
Pastor Lewis? Thank you. Minister? As we ask someone from the ministry to come forward to the lectern to respond. Director Suzette Morris. Okay.
Good afternoon, and thank you. Thank you for your question. So, ADRA is one of our partners on the Humanitarian Assistance Committee. As it is currently, we are working with WFP to build out a dashboard, a platform where we schedule the visits by the different humanitarian partners. We have our Humanitarian Control Response Center WhatsApp group, where currently, this is a very simplistic method, but that is how we monitor currently, but we're building out the platform, which should be deployed, I think maybe before the end of this week, where partners will be able to enter their information, schedule, and also visualize the schedules to achieve that level of coordination. Also, just to note, at this stage of the response, we are moving to more targeted food distribution, house to house, rather than mass distribution, to manage some of that duplication.
Thank you. Suzette Morris? Yes, got that right. Do we have any other questions? I have a suggestion, Minister, if it has not already been considered. There are many of us average citizens who've been coordinating through companies, or even just us and our friends, and driving out and bringing what we can. Is there a system, or could there be a system if there isn't already done so that there can be a record? We can log in and say what has been done. So at the end of this, we do recognize that the average citizens have been stepping up, but we can have an understanding of the scale of that involvement as well. It is Support Jamaica. We're invited to.
That should be able to be visualized. The challenge currently with what you're asking is that it is for our major partners.
Yes, so
those who are involved, and so I'm saying the tool built out by the WFP, the purpose of the tool is just that type of coordination. As it is currently, however, it is our major partners who are members or involved with our Humanitarian Response Center. For the smaller partners, I think we will have to wrap our minds around.
I heard mention of the government's website, supportjamaica.com. Does that allow for that kind of data entry? Register.
I think there's already established reporting protocol that we can share, right? So reporting is not only what matters. What matters is that you are guided by where you should go. So we've seen the influx of a lot of the citizens, right, wanting to go. Because you know somebody that knows somebody in this area, and you don't want no one to tell you anything. You're going to go there and give them what you want. We cannot control and coordinate that in a way, but what you can do is to refer to the representations there in the community. Food for the Poor is not excluding anyone. We work with government, NGOs, international, and the churches and the existing groups. So I would recommend for everyone, work with the existing groups. Don't hesitate also, and I'm sure MLSS will be sharing the list now that communications are up. That's the issue. That we can share actually contact information of the areas so you can get a drift of what is happening and maybe get guidance. We're not going to stop anyone to go and assist because we know the need is great. But to micromanage this is difficult, so we ask your commitment to actually check in with the authorities. Could be a JDF, it could be a police, anywhere, because everyone is in response.
Thank you.
Just to be clear, the supportjamaica.gov.jm website does have a facility for you to actually provide that information, and also for you to link in if you want to be a volunteer. And if you do sign up, then you are a part of a community now that has the facility of getting information and giving information. Additionally, I know that the private sector and members of the task force that I pulled together I am advised that there's a mapping that has been done that also supports now the coordination. What is important, and what we have said from day one, is that if you want to give back and you're going down and you don't already have a family member or a church member or a friend that you're going to, regardless of whether they've gotten 500 packages, this is your person, then don't just stay on the main. We have asked persons to go into the communities, to call the parish office. Matter of fact, we have persons who call our parish offices daily.
Good.
Matter of fact. And
Yes.
they ask them, where can we go?
Yes.
And our social workers may, at times, depending on the amount of resources you want to contribute, actually go with you, give you the support. Or for those persons who don't know where to go and want to give, they have been guided to supportjamaica.gov.jm, where they can provide their donations, and those donations form a part of the collective that is then distributed by JDF.
Absolutely.
There are communities that have found that to be the more effective way. Because it
Understood.
forms part of the coordination and it is safer for you as well.
Understood.
Thank you.
And so the ministry will have an idea of what is happening everywhere if that coordination happens. Thank you for the network. Thank you, all of the partners that are here. We have one final question.
Thank you very much. Christine Hendricks, Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities. Not a question, just a call. So the JCPD falls under the Ministry of Labour and Social Security and facilitates persons with disabilities. And so I'm using this opportunity to make a call to those who would be going out on the various convoys to deliver relief and recovery support. If you meet upon a person who has a disability, if you can let the council know, because we're also on a people find effort, because our data shows that we have over 15,000 persons in the areas. We have only been so far able to reach 283. So if it is that you meet on a person who has a visual impairment or blind, has a physical disability, an intellectual disability, or a mental disability, if you can still WhatsApp that number, 0876-447-0444 and 876-299-7393. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. I'll tell you, in a visit to Santa Cruz, we encountered one household with about 3 children with disabilities. So a very timely comment and provision of information. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we can pull this together. Thank you so much for being here, for what you have brought to the conversation. The minister wants to make sure that we acknowledge the absence of our sign language interpreter, and to let you know that that was organized for that person to be here, but there was an incident of some sort that prohibited their presence. So it is not an oversight on our part. Unfortunately, it could not be helped. At this time, I'd love to thank the minister, permanent secretary, ministers, permanent secretary, or partners, members of the media. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security will continue its work across the island. And no matter where you joined us from, whether in person or online, we want you to know that the commitment remains unchanged. The teams are in the field supporting families, prioritizing the vulnerable, and ensuring that immediate relief is delivered with fairness and transparency. So we remain the People's Ministry, focused on steady, organized action and committed to ensuring that no one is left behind. Thank you so much for joining us. Please follow us on the official MLSS platforms for continuing updates. And we would like to ask those of you that are here in person to remain behind for instructions to access refreshments after. Enjoy the rest of the day, ladies and gentlemen.